So how y'all doing again? It's me, Taurus Downey, Go Hard or Go Home channel, and doing the second volume of my How to Be a Leader series. Um, this is about critical thinking, and critical thinking is a very important part of leadership. This is actually the main reason after integrity that you're going to become a leader. Um, if you haven't watched the video on integrity, you should watch that first before you watch this video because that's just the most important aspect. But this one is this is actually kind of number one. It, I had to, because you can't say zero. Integrity is zero, but because it comes for this, but this is number one. This is actually number one. It is critical thinking is the reason that people are going to look at you for being the leader. If they don't find out, they find out you can critical think all you want to, because like I said in the first video, and I'm probably gonna say in the rest of them, it's not gonna matter about the rest of these principles. If you don't have integrity, you're gonna get left sooner or later. But critical thinking is the very first thing that people are looking for in a leader. They will find out if you have integrity or not. The reason that you're a leader and integrity matters first is because you want to stay a leader. If you're a good one, you want to stay a leader. But if you're a bad one, you don't mind leading people for a little bit for your own personal gain and then leaving. But if you're a good leader and you don't want to do that, integrity is first. And then there's this. Okay. And why is critical thinking important as a leader? Well, most people that are looking for a leader, so even yourself, I keep telling you, I'm saying all the videos, it starts with yourself. Even you as a person, if you were going to look for a mentor, if you were going to look for a mentor, you would be looking for somebody who can outthink you. When people are looking for somebody to lead them, they want to go somewhere. They know they want to get to this place. They don't know how to get there. But this person is supposed to know. And along the way, you know what I'm saying? So critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Well, I'm going to look that up here on the phone while we're talking. But I'm going to tell my personal view of critical thinking. Uh, I think that critical thinking is you being able to figure out problems without having to be told what the end result is. That's what I think. Okay. And the definition that I got here for critical thinking is the objective analysis that, excuse me, guys, I'm country, so these big words and stuff like that, I can pronounce them, I can read them, but they come out certain ways. The objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. Okay. So kind of basically what I just said, you're going to be able to take what you got put together and be able to come out with what could possibly happen later. And in certain different aspects of it, and then make the best decision after saying, okay, we got this sequence of events and we know this causes this. This is going to happen. How do we fix it? But why is critical thinking so important? Because When you got people following you, like I said, they're looking. When you follow somebody, you're looking to get to a certain point. So this person has to be able to figure out the way because you're following, so you're not figuring out anything. The person that's in charge has to figure out how we're going to get to this point. Well, what does that involve? I broke this down to two principles. This is what worked for me, and this is what worked for you too. Thinking outside the box is number one. Okay, and then number two is problem solving. It's just those two. Well, can't those both be one? No. Okay, because problem solving, people can solve simple problems, but the more complex ones are going to involve you thinking outside the box, and you have to be able to do that first. If you can't think outside of the box, critical thinking, it might not happen because it can happen, but it doesn't. It's not going to happen effectively. You're going to have to be able to come up with things. That's what people are looking for in a leader. Somebody that comes up with answers that I didn't come up with. That's what I'm telling you. This is the first attribute. This is really what people are looking for in a leader. Critical thinking. That's what people are looking for in a leader. Someone who thinks outside the box, someone who can solve the problems. And you can't be the problem solver without critical thinking. Now, watch this. Some people will tell you, or these are bad leaders. When you get this, you can't solve problems short term for people. Short term, and it will give you the appearance of critical thinking, but that won't work. Critical thinking solves long term problems before they get there because you already saw it coming. That's the most effective leader. People are looking for the most effective leader when they're looking for one, and the only way you can be an effective leader is if you have very good critical thinking skills. You need to be able to solve problems before they get there. A long time before they get there, you need to be seeing that coming like 2 years down the road, and you are prepared for it. Let's explore a little bit about what happens if you're not a good critical thinker as a leader. You get the problem comes, and the people that whatever the problem is that comes, whoever's following you gets the problem automatically. See, and you know this as a person, you won't follow somebody who can't think critical. You as a person. This is what I'm saying about being a leader. That's why I keep saying it's about looking inside. In most of these videos, I'm probably going to say it's about looking inside. If you want to be a good leader, all you have to do is not give out what you don't want to get back. With critical thinking, you need to be the type of person that you will look for in a leader. Somebody who is able to solve issues by going in ways that you can't do it. And you're going to become that person. How do you do that? It's really quite simple. Thinking outside the box, problem solving. You got to become good at problem solving. Problem solving's got like a few steps to it. If you know what the problem is and you know several ways of fixing it, you're gonna have to sit down, look at all that stuff, go through everything, and then come up with a way of fixing the problem. But you're gonna have to figure out all the problems first. Anything bad that can happen, you know, this type of critical thinking is going to involve emotional intelligence. Let me write that down right now because that's something that just came up on me. It's going to involve emotional intelligence. That's going to be one of the videos. Emotional intelligence. Came up with that one right there. That's got to be one of the volumes. It's going to have to be explained. You're not going to go into it in this one. Emotional intelligence will be explained in the other one, but you have to have that because as a leader and doing critical thinking, and we're thinking outside the box, if you don't have emotional intelligence, you will possibly make decisions that are bad because of your emotions. So it'll be more in depth in the other video. I'm not going to it in this one. Thinking outside the box is important. Okay, got to be able to think outside of the box. You got to be able to come up with solutions in a way that the average person wouldn't do it. This is going to make you valuable as a leader. The reason you are the leader, look at it like this right here. Okay, the boss at work. They're the leader because you can go to them when you don't know what to do. You're a pastor. You're going to them because you don't know what to do. You're asking for insight. You're yeah, your boss, your shift leader, your pastor, your financial advisor. You know what I'm saying? And this person needs to be able to have the critical thinking skills to get you where you're trying to go because you don't know. See, one thing about me being a good leader is I was a good follower, and I looked for good leaders. I looked for good leaders. So when I looked for good leaders, you know what I'm saying, I started building this list of attributes that people need to have because if you didn't, these people that had these things, they were bad. They didn't wind up being a bad leader. So with critical thinking, a person needs to be able to think outside of the box and need to be able to solve problems in a way that other people can't do it. One of the things that made me a very effective leader when I was in the military was that I solved problems in ways that other people couldn't. Problem solver, critical thinker. You got to be a critical thinker to be a leader. This is a very, 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 very first thing you must do. All this stuff is really going to be about fixing yourself so you can do this and have integrity, which was the first video in this series. Everything else will be about fixing yourself so you can do these two things because this was going to make you an effective leader. To be a critical thinker, you have to gain emotional intelligence. You need to watch the video about emotional intelligence, and I will talk about it more in there. You need to gain that, and you need to be able to use resources that other people, but that everybody can use, because most people can use the same resources that you can use. The thing is that the leader goes ahead and uses them. Uh, Let me give an example of that. Google. Okay, when I was in the army, there were people that couldn't figure out certain stuff about the army, even though it was on Google. You could go and Google this stuff, and you could Google it. They knew everything about Jay Z, Beyonce, their favorite rapper, off of Google. But people won't use Google to find information that they need, like say how do I get promoted at my job. That was on there too. So the critical thinker just uses tools in different ways that everybody else doesn't use them. But people are still going to come to you for that. Practice critical thinking skills. That's this right here is this the most important. It's one of the most important aspects of leadership. It is the most next to integrity. Critical thinking and everything else that I'm going to be putting into this series will keep you in a leadership position until a person finds out you have integrity. But you need to be a good critical thinker because as a leader, you're there to get everybody else out of the bull. That's what your job is as a leader. You're the boss at work. When everybody else comes to you, you're supposed to know the answer. When you're the leader of the tribe and everybody else comes to you, you're supposed to know the answer. When you're the pastor, you're supposed to know the answer. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get your critical thinking skills down pat. And if you don't know the answer, you need to know how to find out. And you got Google these days, so it's like that's like way too easy. hmm So critical thinking skills just needs to be practiced by every leader. If you want to be a leader, you must work on critical thinking skills. I broke it down into two very basic principles. You need to be a problem solver. Number two, you need to be a problem solver. But number one, you need to think outside the box. You need to be able to solve problems in a way that other people can't. That's what will make you an effective leader. Number two will make you a leader because you solve problems. But an effective one that people are going to want around, people that, and like I say, this works at your job, it works in your relationships with other people. People want a critical thinker around, especially one that thinks outside of the box, because that person comes up with solutions that everybody else couldn't. And this is something that can be practiced. It's something that can be done by a person on their own. It's just about, shoot, educate yourself a little bit more, read some books, get some self discipline, and become a critical thinker. You don't really have to become it. It's really inside of most people. They just don't do it. Like I say, you got one of these, you got all the information in the world at your fingertips. So critical thinking should not be a problem. This right here is what made me these phones are what made me a good leader. You had all the information to everything you wanted right there in your hands. You do all the research right there. It's like I was putting up these definitions. I'm gonna be putting up definitions on some of these shows right there on the phone. You can put it up right there. So you got access to information. Everybody does. Critical thinking should not really be that hard. The thing is of doing it. But that's why you're the leader. Most people don't want to do critical thinking. They don't want to. That's why they got a leader. That's why I looked for one. Before I was really a critical thinker, that's why I was looking for a leader, and they need to be a good critical thinker. Because I'm trying to get to this point, and if this person can do this, and I follow. That's what gets the person to follow you. That's why this is how to be a leader, because it's how to get the person to follow you. See what I'm saying? And it's the same principle of what you will follow a person for. But critical thinking is very important. Most people don't want people around them that don't think critical, because critical people make the people that don't think critical make bad decisions and make bad choices, and the bad choices are going to bring bad consequences. Everybody understands this. Everybody understands this. So you understanding that, do that, but you got to be a critical thinker. You have to be. You have to be. Nobody wants to follow a person that makes bad decisions. Nobody wants to follow a person that you don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't advise you to do it, because when you follow a person that makes bad decisions, you're going to reap some of the consequences of those bad decisions, because you're following a person who doesn't use critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills is the first aspect of being a leader outside of integrity. And integrity doesn't have anything to do with the other people. That has to do with you. The critical thinking is going to have to do with other people, because if you don't think critical, they're going to suffer the consequences of it too. As far as men and being in relationships, if you don't use critical thinking, the family suffers. If you're a boss at work and you don't use critical thinking, the people up under you suffer. If you're the pastor at the church and whatever y'all doing and you don't use critical thinking, whoever was put into that, they're going to suffer. And people are going to see that suffering, and then you're not going to be leader anymore. How to be a leader. That's the name of this course. Look, critical thinking is very important in being a leader. Very important. Very. You got to work on this. Most of this series is going to be about working on yourself, because you can't lead somebody else if you're trash. It's just basically what it is. So the critical thinking thing is like pretty much what I set out so far. Two principles. You got to be able to think outside of the box. You got to be able to solve problems. And you got this, you can find pretty much anything. You got to be able to think outside the box. You got to be able to solve the problem. Solving a problem can make you a leader, but critical thinking really more involves thinking outside of the box. Because when you're thinking outside of the box, you solve problems in ways that other people didn't. It gives you the ability to undercommit to something and really over deliver. Your good bosses, the people around you that thought critical that you followed, they produce more results than somebody who's just a problem solver. You saw that. Everybody's been in these positions with people. You saw that. So if you want to be the leader, all you have to do is make sure that you have this skill and that you use it effectively. Think outside the box, solve the problem, and solve the problem in ways that other people can't, and you will be a good leader. Why? Because that's what you're looking for. When you go look for, that's what you want from a leader, and that's what you should give as a leader. Okay. Critical thinking needs to be worked on. Definitely. You have to be a critical thinker. Solve the problem before it even comes, in most cases. And if it comes, then you need to be able to solve the problem either quickly or in the shortest time frame possible, or in the way where it's least hurting everybody. But as a leader, you should have seen the problems coming, and you probably should have made You know what I'm saying? Some kind of plan for it. Um, that's what people are expecting of you as a leader. That's what they're expecting of you. So critical thinking, critical thinking. This is this. This is the first. Is the first one that I don't know what the best way to explain that. It's number one in the series, but it's not. Integrity is number one. You got to have that in order for everything else to work and keep you in a long term position. But this one is if I have to tell people about integrity, and you have to do that because people don't understand certain things, but this one is it. It's what you're looking for. It's what you're looking for when you find a leader. Somebody who thinks critical. Somebody who's able to solve problems where you can't. And if you can be that for certain people, you will be a good leader. You will be a good leader. So drop your comments and tell me what you think. Ask questions or whatnot. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit subscribe. Yeah, I told you I'm country. But the thing of it is a critical thinker is a good leader. It's somebody that can solve your problems. It's somebody that can solve the problems in more ways than what you would have thought of. And this is what people are looking for in a leader. So once again, unless I'm Taurus Downey, this is Go Hard to Go Home. Y'all hit the comments and stuff. Let me know what you think. But this is the no integrity. And cause I'm probably gonna say it the rest of the series too. No integrity. I want to tell you to do the rest of it, but he won't stay in power long. But critical thinking, you got to be able to do that. The only reason this is second to integrity is because people leave you when they find out you don't have integrity. But if if you have critical thinking, people hang around you longer. They don't really look at integrity first. To me, it starts first. That's why I put it first. But this right here is number one. You got to be the critical thinker. You got to be the person that's going to be able to solve the problem in ways that nobody else can do it. Stan, he is our man. If he can't do it, no one can. You know what I'm saying? So you work on your critical thinking skills. If you work on your critical thinking skills, you will be a good leader. You don't have any integrity, you're gonna get fired from doing that, but still, you'll be there. But if somebody wants to be a good leader, critical thinking's got to be the first thing. You gotta look inside of yourself. Most is gonna be looking inside of yourself and like, hey, can I solve other people's problems? Can I do it? Am I a critical thinker? So on the end of this note right here, thinking outside the box, problem solving, they're the first, the two aspects of my personal aspects of critical thinking. They're what I used. And I gave y'all one of them. This is the main one, your phone. Everybody's got a computer in their hand these days. So all you got to do is find information and use it the same way that the definition was stating. You find the information, go in your mind, you put it together, and you come up with a way of solving the problem, and you solve the problem effectively. So this has been Taurus Down and Go Hard to Go Home. Y'all drop the comments, hit like, hit subscribe. Let me know what you think. But critical thinking, first thing how to be a leader next to integrity. And I'm out.